Welcome back to another episode of Hot Mess Espresso, guys. Some of you may know her and some of you may not, but we have Taylor Palmby on Hot Mess Espresso today. How are you, darling?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm good.
I'm
How are
I'm
you?
excited too. I'm well. It's been a good day. So obviously for those of you that for people that don't know, I'm already stumbling over my words around here. So for people that don't know, you're kind of one of the higher ups with heart support, kind of a bit of the current face behind it, all of that. For people that don't know what heart support is, what exactly is that?
Yeah, great question. So, I'm the director of outreach at Heart Support, and Heart Support has a mission to unite fans through music and empower them to support each other's mental health. So, we desire to have every fan engaged to help us heal the scene. And we believe that we can do that by using music to help people open up about their mental health and supporting people who are struggling when they do open up. So we have incredible volunteers that support people once they share, and we do that online and in person at festivals.
How did you even get connected with these guys?
Yeah, it was actually like a really kind of crazy kismet thing. I used to be a journalist, and
Mhm.
I was working at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, interning. I was having like the worst time ever. And I begged them to let me cover the last Warp Tour. This was in 2018. So the last time it went cross country. And I think that they were just like, get this girl out of here. Like, sure, she can do whatever she wants. And so I was covering the last Warp Tour from the angle of like how Warp Tour has been so impactful for people who kind of feel like they don't fit in other places and they have this like scene that they can go to. And so I was kind of walking around looking for people to talk to interview. And we used to have this, we have a support wall still, but it used to be huge. It was like 10 feet tall and it weighed like 800 pounds. It was crazy. I have like a schematic of it hanging on uh, my wall. And I just stood there and was like staring at it, like, what is this thing? And on the
Right.
support wall, we have people who open up about their struggles on the top, and then other people will encourage them on the bottom. So I was just standing there, kind of like reading everything that people had written. And someone came up to me who now is like one of my dear friends and is on our board of directors, Dan. And he was like, hey, have you heard about Heart Sport? And he had started telling me about what they did. And I was like, hey, can I interview you for this story I'm writing? And so I interviewed him and we got to talking more. And at the time, I was actually trying to plan on like, see if there was a way I could start my own mental health nonprofit
Hmm.
around music. And so once he told me what Heart Sport was, I was like, this is great. Thank you so much for the interview, but
Right.
I have to do this for the rest of my life. So, like, how can I get involved?
Right.
And then I started interning, and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, I think actually 2018 is when I discovered heart support as well because I my ex was a huge August Burns Red fan, so we'd gone to shows and he had mentioned it,
Mm-hmm.
and I followed it on Instagram, and I just fell in love with the way that they were connecting music and mental health, and even like the hard feed posts, they're taking lyrics from different songs and really kind of dissecting them a little bit, and then obviously the call to action, these comments of these people being vulnerable and everything else, and
Mm-hmm.
um I love the fact that it's a place where music is healing, because
Yeah.
we've all kind of been there, but music doesn't affect some people as much as it, like, music is my entire life. It really
Yeah.
is. Like, I was in 6th grade when Linkin Park's Numb came out, and yeah, literally. So, like, Good Charlotte and Linkin Park and all of that, it's just so impactful. It was like the first time I was listening to music and I'm like, I'm not alone in this. Like, people
Yeah.
understand what I'm going through. So to see it on such a like large scale and stuff like that, it's always had a near and dear spot for me. Um but what kind of festivals have you guys like done in the past? Obviously, like Warp Tour and stuff like that, but what are some like past festivals that you guys have been at?
We've done Warp Tour. We've done So What Fest. Blue Ridge. I'm trying to think. So many. Capulet Fest, which was crazy this last year. Yeah, we're doing a lot more festivals than we've ever done this year.
I'm kind of loving the festivals are coming back though.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
maybe it was because of COVID, but like I've noticed like the last couple of years, like there are festivals everywhere. There's like Welcome to Rockville and Sonic Temple. I mean, Sonic Temple's been around for like a minute, but just all these different festivals, like When We Were Young Fest, and then Warp Tour's coming back again. And I'm like freaking out. I've never been to Warp Tour and I'm not going this year because tickets sold out in like 15 minutes. But I'm like, next year, I am going to Warp Tour.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you can get good resale tickets too, but it's going to be fun. We're going to all the Warp Tours. We're going to Rockville in a month. We'll be at When We Were Young, and so many other festivals. Boardwalk Rock, hopefully Lollapalooza,
Ooh,
Aftershock, Furnace Fest, Louder Than Life. We're going to be at all of them. So if you're going, come say hi.
yeah.
Stop by.
You guys will have like a tent probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
In
we'll
like a
have a
whole area.
tent and our support wall and everything, so you can open up about what you're struggling with and receive support from fans at the festival.
Now, speaking of the support wall, do you guys still have that one online?
So it exists online, but it's all driven by our content. So
Mm.
we actually have this, it's patent pending technology that is so, so cool. So if anyone opens up on our YouTube channel, for example, they automatically get routed to our support wall where our volunteers will reply with encouragement, and it automatically gets routed back to YouTube. So they never have to leave the platform that they're on to receive the encouragement. And we can do that on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, every major platform except for TikTok because they have stricter APIs. But it's really amazing technology, and our volunteers are on the support wall all day, kind of responding with encouragement and support to people who are struggling.
Yeah. So what has kind of the outreach and the impact been since you've joined? God, so 7 years ago?
Yeah, it's been really amazing. Like, it's just really cool to hear people's stories about how heart support has helped them. I think like the coolest thing is getting messages from people talking about how our YouTube channel has shifted the way that they think about something, or our support calls program. Someone recently went through our support calls program where you get matched with a caller and you talk about your mental health for a year. And they said that they've done 25 years of therapy and none of it has been as helpful as the support call program. And so, like, just hearing stories like that and seeing how people's lives are genuinely impacted and changed because of the work that we get to do is so special.
Yeah. It's insane to see how like far it's come and how, I guess, mainstream it's becoming.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's no longer like a little indie thing. Like most people have heard
Yeah.
most people have heard of you guys, and it's just like so nice. It's just really nice to see like mental health being normalized, and it's okay to not be okay. And people, especially in this day and age of the internet, like you're not isolated anymore, which is so incredibly helpful, especially when it comes to mental health. But you got your LMHC,
Mm-hmm.
and was it kind of like the work that you were doing, was that kind of the catalyst for going back to school and becoming a therapist?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of New York. And my work at Heart Support, I definitely just wanted to be able to best give to the organization. And I felt like I had kind of been considering going back to school to be a therapist, but I felt like I could do so much more if I knew more about mental health and had more education. And so I wanted to go back to school and get my degree and also like see clients and see if I wanted to have impact in that way. And so it's been really amazing. It's like how we started doing Therapist Reacts, which is our YouTube channel, and which has been so much fun. And we've seen so much growth and seen so many people open up about their struggles, which is the best part of what we get to do. So I kind of just wanted to amplify the impact that I was able to have in the mental health space. And I felt like getting my degree was one way to do that.
Absolutely. And to kind of jump off of the therapist reacts, what what was the inspiration behind that?
It was just kind of like a random idea that our executive director, Nate, had when we were brainstorming. I don't even remember what we were brainstorming for, but we were just having like a brainstorming session. And he was like, what if you did like a YouTube video of therapist reacts to a song and you like talk about the song from a therapist perspective? And I was like, well, that would be really fun. I would love to do that. Like, I love listening to music. I love reacting to new music. And at the time we were only doing kind of like newer songs we started doing newer songs, and it was just so much fun. Like, I just genuinely loved doing it so much. And like, I remember our first video got like, the first time a video got 1,000 views, we were like, oh my God, like, this is so exciting. This is so amazing. And people like it and whatever. And so we just kind of kept trying to make more content like that. And eventually we expanded out to doing like other songs, because I had never heard of so many of these other huge metal bands like Tool, and never listening to Slipknot. And like, I grew up on like My Chemical Romance and Good Charlotte and Mayday
Emo Kids
Parade
for
and
life.
all of those. Yeah, Linkin Park. So I wasn't necessarily listening to all of those kind of like older metal bands. And so kind of expanding out to that just allowed us to really grow. And it was just honestly like a random moment of inspiration that we followed and thought it might be fun to try. And my favorite thing about the culture at Heart Support is that it's like a culture of like, failing is all good, failure is okay, failure is how we get to the next step. So we're never afraid to try anything and fail. And we kind of expected like, okay, we'll do this therapist reacts and it might not really land, but at least we tried something and had fun with it. And that makes it like a lot easier to take those moments of inspiration and go for them, because we have this culture of like, failure is great because you're learning something and you're growing and you're trying to push the envelope.
No, absolutely. That's the thing that I feel like I've also kind of taken is it's not a failure, it's just like a pivot. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's, maybe not now, like let's just table it and, work on something else, or, tweak it so that it's a little more successful, that kind of thing. But also like things are constantly evolving, so that makes complete sense. And I was going to ask if they were blind reacts, because they were definitely blind reacts, or you are fantastic at it.
No, it's real. Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard any of the songs that we react to. And I'm very purposeful about that. Like, if I have a question about something that I need before we film it, I'll make someone else listen to the song and try to answer my question for me. Cause I don't want to ruin the authenticity of the reaction.
Yeah, because it's definitely a genuine reaction. I was like, she's got to be blind reacting to these, because there's no way that she's like, yeah, I've heard the song before, and have the like, I guess, like emotions that you have with it. What if, gosh, I can't talk today. What was like one of your top 3 songs that you listened to that you were like, felt like was the most impactful for you?
Definitely, this isn't like a metal song, but I think definitely Suicide by Ren. When we reacted to that like absolutely wrecked me. I was bawling. I like had no idea what to expect. And the song kind of goes in the way, if you know it, where it like sounds very catchy and is like, has like a really good beat to it. And then the end of the song kind of transitions to this like really emotional moment where you can even hear his breath. And he's talking about how he lost his friend to suicide. And I lost a big part of my story is I lost one of my best friends to suicide. He was a huge metalhead. And I had never heard anyone describe the loss of a friend in a way that felt so similar to how I experienced it myself. And so to like hear him describe it and sing it was just like floored me and completely took me by surprise. And I was like crying my eyes out on the reaction. But that one I think is definitely one that I always think of as being a really impactful song for me myself, that I was like, oh wow, I'm so glad that the community told me to listen to this song, because it's really powerful.
Yeah. I have to actually. I've never heard of it, but I will definitely be listening to it when I'm probably a little more emotionally regulated. But
Yeah. It's
actually,
yeah. Or if you just need a good cry.
you know what?
It'll do either.
I do need a good cry, so maybe I'll just listen to it tonight.
Yeah, it's so good.
So, like, growing up, what were some bands or albums or even like songs that were just super impactful, and how has that changed into now?
Such a good question. Growing up, I was definitely like a huge pop punk girl. I also was obsessed with 5 Seconds of Summer. That was
Oh
like
my gosh.
my favorite band of all time. I had like a Twitter account for them. I loved them so much. They did that cover of JC Ray by All Time Low, and I was like, this is the best band I've ever heard in my life. But All Time Low, Mayday Parade, State Champs, like all of those bands. And I think A Lesson in Romantics by Mayday Parade was like a really big album
Ooh,
for me.
yeah.
Like Miserable at Best really just
Mm,
like hit me in my middle school feels. And I think I was like feeling so many things that I couldn't describe and couldn't understand, but I like really felt the lyrics to that song. And I saw them perform it at When We Were Young. They did the whole album this last year, and it was like such an emotional experience for me. So it was like
it really is.
this album, I grew up on this album. Every single song hits in a different way, and to see it all kind of live together was really, really beautiful. I think that punk pop, punk rock music for me made me feel really understood when I didn't feel very understood kind of growing up in middle and high school.
Yeah. It also just like helps make you feel understood when you don't understand yourself, you
Yeah.
know?
Gave a voice to the things that I was feeling that I couldn't just explain.
Yeah. It's so impactful that way. And like you were saying, like for me, uh Good Charlotte, their sophomore album,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, I had that on repeat and I was obsessed, like to the point where we were painting our bathroom, like in the house that I grew up in. And, you know, my dad was like, I can't be dark colors. And I was like, okay, how about lime green? And he was just so excited that I picked a bright color. He did not figure out that it was like the alternate colors to Good Charlotte. And to like,
Uh-huh.
I think like I told him last year and he was like,
I'm so sorry.
no, look, mine will probably go off because
He
Amazon's
literally never
supposed to be here.
barks.
I know. We're like they're so well behaved, and then they're like, "Oh, you're on a call." Like, no. So we live for chaos here. It's fine. But yeah, like I think I told him like last year, and he was just like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But
Is the
you were
bathroom
just,
still lime green?
I think we painted it when we sold the house because like we moved out of there right after I graduated high school. But I just that, and then I finally saw them at the Palladium in 2018,
Mm,
and I like, oh my God, when I finally heard Hold On live, sobbed.
so
Absolutely
good.
freaking sobbed because that song kept me alive for a very
Mm,
long time,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
just all of the things that they were taught, like the anthem. Oh my God, I have my nephew hooked on the anthem and I'm so excited because I'm just
Uh,
like converting them. He's a little
yeah.
metalhead. I love it. But, the anthem, it spoke to me because it's like, I always felt like an outcast. So it was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's okay to be, because I look up to this band and they're also outcasts. Like,
Yeah.
they feel the same way. And it was just like, so when you're saying like hearing it live, there's something about growing up with an album and then hearing it live
Mm-hmm.
that like just all of those emotions just come flooding back. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you're 11 again and you're just like, send help.
Yeah. You're like in your room thinking about your middle school crush while you're
Mm-hmm.
listening to Mayday Parade or yeah, there it's so powerful the way that music can give you something to grab onto
Yeah.
and
And
like
it's
keep moving forward.
exactly. And it's really kind of cool and like eerie, but like cool to, hear these songs live and like kind of put yourself back to where you were when you first heard that song and you first, like, that was literally your entire life. And then you're kind of thinking about it and you're reflecting while they're singing it. And you're like, I've come so far. Like
Mhm.
that full circle moment of like, yeah, I, still feel like this sometimes, but the full circle moment of I'm not there anymore.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a gut punch sometimes because you're like, I've come so far, but also like I have so much more to go because I still
Yeah.
relate to this a bit too much
Yep.
kind of thing.
Yep, totally.
But what are some artists and albums that, well, even not albums, but like songs that, obviously music changes over time and, we're always going to listen to the things that caught our attention in like middle school, but what are some songs and some bands that really heavily impact you now?
Mm. I've been listening to so much Movements. I love Movements. They're one of my favorite bands. I just got a Movements tattoo. They have this song called Tightrope, and it says, I've been staring at the world from a tightrope, worried sick, but I'm holding on to high hopes. And I just love that line so much. So I listen to a lot of Movements. I'm a person who, like, I'll put an album or I'll put a band on repeat. I also listen to, this is not metal, but I listen to a lot of Noah Khan. Like
Ugh,
I
he's
love
so talented.
him. He's so talented. I love him. I think he like really has a handle on mental health and like how to express it through music in a really beautiful way. So I listen to, he has this line, if love is contagious, I might be immune to it. Pain's
Ugh.
like cold water, your brain just gets used to it. And it's like such he's just like so talented. So I love listening to him. Um who else have I been listening to a lot lately?
I will say Full Circle by Movements. Ugh. Like his monologue at the end.
Yes.
Like
Oh,
something about the corners of my mouth instead of being anchored down, and I'm just like I just I have it memorized until right when I need to like quote it, which is like right now,
yes.
but that monologue at the end is just like
It's so good.
it's
It's
so
so good.
impactful,
Yeah. I
you
watched
know.
them both days at When We Were Young because I
Ugh,
wanted to see that album performed as many times as possible. And it
right.
was so good live. Daylily too.
Mm,
Chef's Kiss.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah. But their new album I've had on repeat since pretty much on and off since it came out. And I really have been listening to like a lot of The Plot and You. I think that they're amazing.
That bridge or the hooker, I'm not like technical with music, but the bridge in Forgotten.
So good. It
Mm,
is just like hits you right in the chest. They're
uh, especially just like dealing with mental illness and like, self-sabotage and chasing things that aren't good for you, but you don't know how to find anything else. And just I've spent my life chasing things that have always brought me pain. In the end, when I'm dead, hope it was for something. I just want to go back to when I heard that for the first time because
mm,
when I tell you, I literally hit pause and it was like one of those things where you're like, I need a minute.
yeah. Like hold on.
I need to
Wait
go
a
take a
sec.
walk.
Like you just said something that I'm gonna not never recover from. Let me
Literally. And then hearing it live, they came to Buffalo in November and just you I'm pretty sure they heard it in the next county with everyone just screaming that part. And it was just, it's, that's also why I love live shows because you're among
Yeah.
people that feel the same fucking way that you do. And you're
Hmm.
just like, I'm among my people.
Yeah. There's nothing like more powerful than that moment when everyone's singing along to a
Oh yeah.
song.
And
So
also metalheads
beautiful.
are literally the best at shows.
Hmm.
I'm 5 foot and I've never felt like unsafe at a show before because, if my friends aren't looking out for me, the random stranger 4 feet over is like,
Yeah.
it's a community,
It's a beautiful community. It really
especially
is.
out here, especially out
Yeah.
here. And I absolutely love it. But,
Yeah.
yeah, um, what was there like a festival that, or like just an instance when, you're doing the outreach and stuff like that, that really stood out to you as we're really making a difference or even you're making a difference?
That's such a good question.
I know I asked the most random weird questions.
There was a moment at Warp Tour in 2019 that I think of a lot.
Mhm.
It was Jake had wanted to do like a signing at the tent.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was doing a signing, and I was kind of making sure like everyone was getting their pictures and whatever, and like was kind of moving along. And when it came time for that, someone came up and wanted to like take a picture with Jake. And when it came time for him to take a picture, he was like, Taylor, will you get in the picture too? Like your Instagram content and like what you're doing at Heart Support has like really helped me in my mental health. And like as much as Jake and his music has. And so that was really a special moment for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, of course, I would be honored. I think that was the first time that I realized that like what we're doing on the internet can really impact people outside of it. And then recently, Jake sent me a video. He was at a show and someone yelled down to him as he was leaving, like, I love your YouTube channel. And he went and got his phone and like recorded them saying it and sent it to me. And it's just like, it's just really cool to have people send the messages and say the things and show up and be impacted. And then trying to think of specifically at a festival, the coolest thing at a festival is when someone says, and this happens all the time, of like, I've never opened up about this before. I've never shared this with anyone before. And they share it with you and they get to experience like a little bit of lightness because they're not keeping it in anymore. And they get to experience like a little bit of like love and support for something that they maybe have been holding for a really long time. And I think that that's the coolest thing, is when someone's like, I never thought I'd be able to tell anyone this.
Yeah, it's trying to think of the word here, but I don't even think there's a word for it when somebody is like, you've changed my like, you know, perspective or my ability to like open up. And it's like, I'm so honored that
Mm-hmm.
you chose me to open up to, because it's like, I'm doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm doing exactly what I set out to do, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's really special.
it really is. I've had a couple moments of that myself. Like with HME, I had somebody reach out that I thought I, knew everything going on with them. And they were just like, your take on therapy inspired me to give it another shot. And I've been going for over a year now. And I was like, excuse me?
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was like, that's just what if I, especially with this and like mental health and stuff, if I just get one person to like go to therapy or be able to have the conversation with their family because I said something that they couldn't come up with the words, like I did my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Wow.
it can also be pretty heavy, which I'm sure you know. How do you take care of yourself? Because not only are you doing things like in person, but the internet's 24/7. Like, how do you keep the boundaries of not like diving into, the outreach and the support wall 24/7, along with all of your interpersonal stuff, and not just like, and try to keep yourself semi whole?
Yeah. So I take it like pretty seriously that I don't respond on the support wall,
Mm,
because a couple of things, like as a therapist, it gets a little dicey with my license. Like I will
mm,
respond on the support wall sometimes, especially if we need supporters, but like I don't want someone to think that they're getting therapy in that
mm.
moment. And so giving direct support to someone. So I like take it pretty seriously, and for my own boundaries of like, I don't respond directly on the support wall. And that really helps a lot, because then I'm not, and when I'm like getting a lot of DMs or things from people, I set aside time where I'm going to respond to them. And then I don't kind of respond outside of that. And I'll often, I feel really lucky because I know that I have some place to direct them to where they're going to get the care and support. It's like, I can't be the one to be your therapist in this moment, but
Mm-hmm.
I can direct you to our support wall where you will get support. I can direct you to our support calls program where you will get support. I can direct you to our partnership with BetterHelp where you will get support. So I feel like I have something to offer them, even though it's not my direct support in that moment, which is what they may be looking for. And I try to remain really boundaried about that because I don't want to like open the door too much where I'm like creating a professional relationship with someone.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense because I kind of have to do that too. Like I'll listen and I'll like respond a little bit to like my DMs and stuff, but at a certain point, I'm like, this is kind of out of my wheelhouse. Like, obviously, I'm gonna always suggest therapy. I'm gonna always suggest like, creating a community and a circle. Like, there's only so much I can do because I'm not licensed. So I'm always like, this is just my opinion and based off of like my, I'm sorry you're going through that kind of thing. But it can get very blurry and very dicey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then so then how do you take care of yourself with the more interpersonal end of things?
I go to therapy. I think like all therapists should go to therapy.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to see a therapist who wasn't going to therapy. Um, to be honest, I think that, we take on a lot and our need to have spaces where we're just processing our own emotions and our own experiences or what's coming up for us when we're kind of continuously holding healing spaces. So I have therapy and I have a coach that I talk to a lot as well. And then I just like make sure that I'm kind of seeing my friends, kind of exercising a lot, doing all of the things that I know keep me as healthy as I can be. And when I'm going through something hard, I'm honest about that with the people around me and I allow them to give me support and care that they can. And I don't like pretend if I'm not okay.
I absolutely. I feel like authenticity is like you, with what you do, you have to be authentic or as
Yeah.
authentic as you possibly can. So, I'm guessing having a therapist is how you also don't bring work home with you, especially
Yeah.
being a therapist.
Yeah. It's really helpful to have a therapist and to I think like I haven't had too much of an issue bringing work home with me. I don't know. I think I really try to compartmentalize and I think I've become good at that because I've always had a few different jobs. So
Hmm.
it's been like in something I've practiced is like moving from one thing to the next and
Hmm.
I really am like have learned like I have this hour of my time to give this person and I'm going to direct my full attention to them in this moment and whatever happens after that is not my responsibility. I can care about them and I can, think about them and make sure that I'm doing my best to be the best therapist I possibly can. But at the end of the day, I'm seeing them for 1 hour of 165 hours that they have in a week. There's only so much I can do. There's only so much I can be there for. So I'm doing the best that I can in that time. And the best thing that I can do for them is actually give myself the time outside of that so that I can refill my cup because that's how I become the best therapist that I can be is when I'm healthy and when I'm well and when I'm, you know, taking care of myself, I'm able to support them better.
Yeah, it's kind of the 80-20 rule. Like, 20% is done in the gym, 80% is what, you're eating, like 20% is done in therapy, 80% is you applying it kind of thing. So that makes complete and total sense that you
Yeah.
are only seeing them for like an hour or so. Now do you teach like guest teach or spin classes, right?
I teach fitness classes at
Yeah.
a place called Barry's Boot Camp. So it's spin and running and weights,
Yeah.
depending on what it is. But yeah, that's been fun too.
I was just gonna say that's got to be your happy place, like, or somewhat of it, because I don't know anybody who would teach a class and not enjoy it. You have to enjoy exercising.
Yes, it is really like exercise has been something that's been really, really helpful for my mental health. And I have to get exercise for myself. I know that, or I'm not going to feel good about myself. I'm not going to feel good mentally. And so I need to get some sort of movement. It really helps move my energy, regulate my nervous system. And I love teaching too. It's really fun.
Yeah. I love me a good spin class, I will be honest. Like, I'm not gonna be up at 5 a.m. doing one, but every spin class I've been to has been an absolute blast, and I feel so much better after. So if people want to start volunteering for heart support, how do they do that?
They can go to heartsupport.com/volunteer and they can sign up for either our support wall program, a SWAT team, we call it, support wall replier program, where they would join a team of people and respond to people who open up
Mm-hmm.
with what they're struggling with, or they can sign up to be a caller and they would get matched with someone who is looking for one-on-one peer support for a year. And we train them on how to do both of the programs. We have an
Mm-hmm.
incredible training program, so they would never be alone. And we have an incredible, like, uh, program director who is always overseeing everything and making sure everything runs smoothly. And all of our volunteers are completely supported. So if anyone wants to volunteer, you absolutely should. It's an amazing way to get involved and to do your part. And I always say, like, helping others is a really great way to help yourself.
It absolutely is. And that's coming from someone who's done the support while back when it was, I think, like a Discord.
We
So
still
like,
use Discord.
yeah. So that, and then like the campaign you guys did a few months ago, I like participated. It's so nice, even for myself, to see that like I'm not alone in these things and I can like empathize with people and be like, I'm sorry you're going through this. Like, been there or something like that. So it all exactly what you said. So as someone who has volunteered for heart support before, it is 1000% worth it. It's so much fun.
Yay!
It can
Yay!
be heavy sometimes, but it is absolutely 1000% worth it. Um,
Amazing.
so to kind of wrap up, um, obviously we've been talking about heart support, and I know that's a big part of your life, but what is next for Taylor?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think like heart support has become such a big part of my career and my path and my journey in the way that I want to have impact in the world. And this year we're going to more festivals than we've ever gone to. I'm going to 6 festivals, so I'll be busy. And I think like just trying to up our impact there and really level up our content is what feels like is important to me right now and is where like my work is. And just trying to continue. I think in this season my biggest focus outside of work has just been on myself and my own mental health and making sure that I'm taking care of myself the best that I can and always growing and evolving and kind of finding new ways to heal.
Yeah, 1000%. So if people want to find the YouTube channel on Therapist Reacts and find your Instagram, where can they do that?
It's just heart support on YouTube, on Instagram, all of the social media platforms, heart support. And yeah, check us out. Hit subscribe, follow us on Instagram, do all the things.
Yeah, it's crazy what you guys have been able to accomplish in the last like few years, and obviously especially with
Thank
COVID,
you.
I'm sure you had a bigger like influx of people looking for, support and stuff like that. I am absolutely beyond grateful that you were able to take the time and sit down with me and just chit chat about all things music and what you're doing, your
So
impact and all of
fun.
that.
Thank you so
So,
much for having me.
yes, of
I loved
course.
it.